I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.
Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Kelly. We're back with another video. If you guys are new to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would very much appreciate it. And if you're a returning listener or subscriber, I thank you so much for being a friend, as always, guys. And if you are into true crime stories, news, politics, and so much more, then I think you would enjoy the channel, and I would appreciate it if you would join me and subscribe. And we're going to get into some of those things tonight. Things that are happening all across the globe. So we're going to talk about some salacious news stories that have come out recently, and some are conspiracy driven, some are actual facts that tell a pretty dark tale of what goes on behind closed doors. So without further ado, let's get into our first thing. And I just wanted to touch on this and revisit this story because it just pissed me off. So if you guys don't remember, we covered this on my channel extensively. This moment from the State of the Union from Joe Biden when Marjorie Taylor Greene heckled him in regards to Laken Riley and demanded that he say her name. Well, this was the moment that everyone was kind of talking about after he gave that, you know, horrible speech, which people on the left had the audacity to say was like this great, amazing moment for Joe Biden. That's how you really know people are divided, and half the country is absolutely batshit crazy. But let's just watch this moment again, and then we'll see what we take away from this.
Really, Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look.
So first of all, the two things that stood out to me were the fact that he didn't say her name properly. He said Lincoln Riley. Her name is Laken. And then he tried to, once again, use his own son's death to garner sympathy for himself. Where normal people, when, you know, facing people who are going through grief, people who have lost their daughter, okay? People whose tragedy is extremely fresh. Normal people would just try to sympathize and empathize with those people who are going through their own tragedy. But not Joe Biden. Every chance he gets, he's going to remind you that he's got a dead son. So those are the two things that stuck out of my mind. But the thing that really stuck with the Democrats and the left was not the fact that Joe Biden, once again, tried to make Laken Riley's parents' tragedy about him and his own tragedy or his own sad story. It wasn't the fact that he misspoke and said her name improperly. They were instead outraged about the following.
You walked into the chamber, you saw Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. It was priceless. You feigned shock at seeing her. But during your response to her heckling of you, you used the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. And look, when I spoke about the difference between Trump and me, one of the things I talked about on the border was that the way he talks about vermin, the way he talks about these people polluting the blood. I talked about what I'm not going to do, what I won't do. I'm not going to treat any of these people with disrespect.
Oh, really?
Look, they built the country. The reason our economy is growing. You have to control the border and more orderly flow, but I don't.
But they built the country, Joe. Illegal aliens built the country. Illegal aliens that are parts of dangerous gangs that kill each other in the streets and are savage animals. They built the country, don't you know? Didn't you guys know that? It wasn't European settlers who came from civilized nations and started, you know, the best country in the world. No, it was the illegal aliens from South America that built this country, supposedly. Meanwhile, I thought it was the blacks. I thought it was the blacks who were taking credit for that today. So that's what the left is mad about.
Mr. President, will you commit to a debate with former President Trump? It depends on his behavior.
Do you regret using the word illegal to describe immigrants?
I mean, what?
Well, I don't regret it. Technically, he's not supposed to be here.
Technically, he's not supposed to be here. You know, you just don't fucking say. Well, it's not so technical, really, Joe, if you think about it. He actually just wasn't supposed to be here. Full fucking stop. Period. Point blank. He actually wasn't supposed to be here, and he murdered someone. Okay? So, technically, I guess you could say that you and the liberal media are a bunch of dipshits. That was the first question you chose to ask, ma'am. You have the supposed president, heavy quotes, of the United States right in front of your face, and you have one shot to ask him a question. And you ask him, does he regret saying illegal when referring to a murderer? What kind of world, what kind of fake ass clown country are we living in right now? I mean, this is a joke. How dare these people, and with everything going on in our country, that is what you choose to have outrage over. I'm disgusted. I mean, I just could not believe it. And him with his buffoonery, when the shit that he spouted has been so racist and damn outrageous in his rhetoric that it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Legislators in defeating the Nunes plan in the basement said, quote, "We already have a nigger mayor. We don't need any more nigger big shots."
Not the hard
And the
R.
court cited evidence.
Major crime bill, every minor crime bill,
Oh my God.
has had the name of the Democratic senator from the state of Delaware, Joe Biden,
Oh, really?
on that bill.
We do everything but hang people for jaywalking
Hello?
in this bill. I mean, you got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
I spent last summer going through the black sections of my town, holding rallies in parks, trying to get black men to understand it's not unmanly to wear a condom. Getting women to understand they can say no. Getting people in the position where testing matters. I got tested for AIDS. I know Barack got tested for AIDS. There's no shame in being tested for AIDS.
Romney wants to he said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules.
I've never seen that before. Why in the fuck would two married men of that age need to go get tested for fucking AIDS? Okay, just ridiculous. We are just
Unchained. Whoa. They're going to put you all back in chains.
Who most foreign policy experts around the world say is the wisest man in the Orient.
Large, very identifiable Somali community. I might add, if you ever come to the train station with me, you'll notice that I have great relationships with them because there's an awful lot of driving cabs. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
What responsibility do you think that Americans need to take to repair the legacy of slavery in our country?
We bring social workers into homes of parents to help them deal with how to raise their children. It's not that they don't want to help, they don't know quite what to do. I recognize that kid wearing a hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger. You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. And by the way, what you all know, but most people don't know, unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community.
oh my God.
With incredibly different attitudes about different things.
Unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is incredibly diverse. So you guys aren't diverse at all. There's a few
Diverse community.
exceptions.
with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
Have you taken a cognitive?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying you, before you got in this program, you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not. What do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
Christine, geez, the reason I was able to stay sequestered in my home is because
oh my God, the mask.
Some black woman was able to stack the grocery shelf.
Hello.
Young black entrepreneurs are just as capable of succeeding given the chance as white entrepreneurs are. But they don't have lawyers.
Would you allow these cities to ignore the federal law regarding the reporting of illegal immigrants and, in fact, provide sanctuary to these immigrants?
The reason the cities ignore the federal law is the fact that there is no funding at the federal level to provide for the kind of enforcement at the federal level you need. Pick up the New York Times today. There's a city not far across the river from my state that imposed the similar sanctions. And what they found out is, as a consequence of that, their city went in the dumps, in the dumpster. Stores started closing. Everything started to happen. And they changed the policy. Part of the problem is you have to have a federal government that can enforce laws. This administration has been fundamentally derelict in not funding any of the requirements that are needed even to enforce the existing law.
So, Senator Biden, yes or no, would you allow the cities to ignore the federal law?
No.
Okay.
Oh my
would
God,
you allow these cities to...
can we bring back based Joe Biden, please? Can we get him back? Or was he abducted by aliens? And is he now wearing a skin suit? I don't know. You guys tell me. But that is the real Joe Biden. That is the based Joe Biden. He knew back when he was knowing the truth, and back whenever, you know, our country was in an absolute joke. So I just want to know why the media doesn't cover these things. Like, why those kinds of clips don't play on a loop every single night on the nightly news. It's a joke. And it's just so disrespectful to the American people to not show these people and their hypocrisy. And it's not just him. It's like everyone used to be against illegal immigration. Everyone used to know that this was a problem. And now why they're flooding our country with third world is just beyond me. But let's move on, because I could talk about this all day, and this video is really not about immigration. I want to talk to you guys about France and what the hell is going on with the president of France's wife. Okay, Candace brought this to my attention. I watched her show the other day on this, and I was shooketh, okay, because I had not heard this. And you guys know I love a good conspiracy theory just as much or more than the next guy, okay? And the fact that I had not heard this one really made me feel like I was slacking in the dot connector community. So I gave it a listen, and it was compelling. And then we're going to go over some of the evidence that was posted. This was like research that was done by these French journalists who have been looking into this for years and are making these claims that the First Lady of France, Brigitte Macron, is actually a man.
Some major update now happening. Major update. So let me tell you about how I happened upon the story. There was just an article that was published in the Daily Mail. Here is the headline. The proof France's First Lady wasn't born a man. What? I was going, what? So I, of course, instantly read it, because what a bizarre thing that you're even needing to present proof that Brigitte Macron was not born a man. And embedded within the article, they showed two photos, and I'm going to show you right now. This is the first photo. This is allegedly Brigitte Macron when she was a little girl sitting on her mom's lap. But when I saw this photo, the first thing I noticed was that the person on the far left, the boy, that actually looks like Brigitte Macron. I'm taking you guys through my thought process. I saw this photo. I was like, that actually looks like she might actually be the guy. Maybe she's a dead ringer for her brother. But I don't see any resemblance there with the little girl. They showed the second photo, debunking another young photo allegedly of Brigitte Macron. What I thought when I looked at this photo, that this looks way too new to be a photo of a 70-year-old when they were a child. Now, again, these are my thought processes. When I then read the article, there was no debunking whatsoever. They just were calling people that were saying otherwise far right, all the typical buzzwords, far right, conspiracy theorists, racist, sexist, it's homophobic, it's anti-Semitism. Just the thing that we are all now able to immediately look through. These names don't mean anything anymore. And that just makes me want to look further into the alleged theory. And I did. And holy smokes. So the quote unquote conspiracy theory is actually a 3-year thorough investigation that was conducted by journalists that were working with genealogists. It was published in 6 issues in Faits et Documents. I'm sorry, my French is not that good, but they published 6 issues unpacking what they had discovered after a 3-year investigation. And here is what they are saying, right? So again, I'm going to say allegedly, but this is what they have published. Their theory is that the First Lady, Brigitte Macron, was actually born Jean Michel. So Bridget is actually John Michael. John Michael lived as a man for 30.
Interesting, Michelle. Don't we know another Michelle that has allegedly rumors swirling that, you know, there were once a man? Michelle, that's weird. Why is it always people named Michelle? I don't know. Who could I be thinking of?
3 years, fathered 5 children, okay, and then transitioned at the age of 30 to become Brigitte. Okay, now I'm just going to show you this before and after photo, just right here. They actually used, as a part of their investigation, Chinese software. And this is a side-by-side. It is such a dead ringer. It's crazy to me that you would not say that these 2 individuals look alike. This is potentially the same individual age. So on the left, what I'm showing you is John Michael. On the right is a photo of the First Lady, okay? Now, I will tell you why this has legs and why I'm going to encourage you to read the very long document that I read, which we will include in the link in bio. The First Lady is simply unable to produce any photos of herself throughout the first 30 years of her life. Just produce the photos. Instead, the only photos they have produced that are circulating in the media are the photos that I just showed you. And as I said, the first photo, she looks more like the John Michael, who she claims is actually her brother, who she won't just present to the public. If that is in fact your brother, please just go on a walk with him so we can capture it and say, no, she just happens to look like her brother. Here's John Michael. No, John Michael has disappeared. The genealogists just can't find a single trace of John Michael since Brigitte came into the public space at the age of 30. So John Michael existed for 30 years, according to the genealogist, okay? And then John Michael stops existing and Brigitte exists. But Brigitte doesn't exist for the first 30 years, okay? The second photo, the one that I said to looked a little too recent for an alleged 70-year-old, well, yeah, they were able to debunk that. That's actually a photo of her daughter, her daughter Trefane. You can see now side by side. Of course, that is her daughter. It's a dead ringer for her daughter. So why would you colorize a photo and make it black and white and try to pass it as yourself when it is in fact your daughter? Now, I'm sure somebody will say, well, didn't come directly from the First Lady. It is very obvious that they are trying to dissuade the narrative by producing these 2 photos, which are easily debunked. Here's a second reason that I would say major red flags. Rather than just producing what should be ample evidence of your existence for the first 30 years of your life, they're suing. Yes, the First Lady actually sued 2 of the journalists that were involved in producing the story. Brigitte Macron, here's a headline from the Telegraph. Brigitte Macron sues women who claimed that she is transgendered. Well, something to note is what exactly Brigitte is suing for. She's suing them for violation of privacy and fundamental personal rights, plus illicit use of her image.
Oh my God.
What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. Like, why don't you say you completely lied and I can prove it and I'm going to ruin your entire life?
And wouldn't you sue for libel, slander, making false claims, violation of privacy? That's weird.
That's suspicious.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Huh. I don't know. I mean, it's giving suspicious.
But of course, obviously, to tell a lie this big, you'd have to have a very good memory. This is actually something that Judge Judy used to say. I used to love watching Judge Judy when I was young with my grandma. And she used to say, you know, if you don't lie, you don't have to have a good memory. But if you lie, you got to have a very good memory. And what keeps happening throughout the years of her being the First Lady, so since 2017, every time the First Lady tells a story about herself in her childhood, the math doesn't quite math, right? For example, she recalled living alone in the United States during Neil Armstrong's moon landing in 1969. The only problem is that she would have been just 16 years old. What? 16-year-old living alone in the United States? But if the theory is true, that she's actually Jean-Michel, who is 8 years older, which would make the First Lady 78 years old today, then that story would make perfect sense. Because, of course, you could live alone when you are 24 years old in the United States. Again, there are multiple examples of the First Lady just being too young in terms of the past stories that she keeps telling. Then there is the remarkably strange case of Brigitte's alleged ex-husband. So just to remind you, jog your memory, the story goes, she was married, right? And at the age of 40 years old, she fell in love, so much so that she left her husband because she just loved this 16-year-old or 15-year-old or 14-year-old drama student so much. She left her husband and her 3 kids to be with him, okay? So it should be pretty easy to find her ex-husband that she had 3 kids with. But it turns out that they can't find that man. Yeah, back when Emmanuel Macron was elected president, journalists all over the world, international journalists, were obviously prying into his background and her background, and they just could not find this man. Allegedly, his name is André Louis Auxier, and internationally, they just couldn't locate him. Allegedly, he is a banker, or was a banker, because now they say he died, just suddenly died. But he was allegedly a banker, so it's very weird there wouldn't be a trail for journalists to find him. In 2017, during the presidential election, they tried to interview him, and it was all of their attempts in vain. In fact, in an article that was published in French magazine, Gala magazine, they titled the article as if he had never existed. So that is in the year that he became president. They were just like, this other guy doesn't really seem to exist. It also seems to be the case that every time the press is trying to assist the narrative that he did exist, they keep accidentally showing photos of other men. For example, in 2018, France 3 TV produced a movie entitled Brigitte Macron, un roman français. And they showed this photo very quickly, featuring Brigitte and her first husband, André Louis Auxier. But it turns out that upon inspection, that actually isn't him. It's actually an old faculty photo, because it has been confirmed that Brigitte was a teacher. Obviously, that's how she fell in love with young student Emmanuel. And here is the full photo of the faculty. Oopsies, we got it wrong again. Guys, when I tell you that there is so much proof to this claim, I'm not a person that just pushes out these narratives, right? I'm not a person that's like, come with me and we're going to examine QAnon or Pizzagate. I am telling you that this has legs. And you know it has legs because the press is doing their usual bit of trying to dismiss it as a far-right conspiracy theory that is being pushed by people who are backwards and racist and homophobes and transphobes. No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to gaslight us anymore. It is very simple to debunk this. It is so simple to debunk this. There should be so much evidence. In fact, if this was me and someone lied about the first 30 years of my life, I would do a press conference. I would have my brother there. I'd be like, here's my brother, John Michael. Yes, we do look alike, okay? But you guys are crazy. And then I would have college friends there. I have tons of photos of me growing up, my entire family. And then I would say it is harmful to produce conspiracy theories. Now that we have debunked this, let's talk about the harm of conspiracy theories. They're not doing any of that. Instead, they're just scrambling. Why is this story really important? Why am I asking you to share it? Well, because, like I said, we should have known about this. It's been going on since 2017. But also because what they are saying is that the reason the press is covering this, right, the state media is covering this, is because what's really happening here is two individuals were selected to be the leaders of a nation. They were selected on the principle of blackmail, is what they are saying. They are saying that they selected these two individuals because they can control them, because they created the wife, right? Because they know the history here. And they can basically say, here's what you're going to do, Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte. You are going to pass through these policies. And there's nothing that you can do to stop whatever it is that we want to accomplish because we control you. Again, we made you. So again, all across the nation in France, they're even having protests. They're wearing wigs that resemble the wig that Brigitte wears and demanding the truth about this situation. And if this is proven to be fact, and again, I'm going to link this, you should read it. It's like 16 chapters. It took me 2 days to read through all of it, and my jaw was on the floor. But if it is proven true, then what we are unpacking here is exactly what we are unpacking in America, that blackmail is what rules the world. And that's all I have to say about that.
Oh my God. Candace has been fucking cooking lately, okay? Let this woman cook, for the love of God. My goodness. What a juicy piece of tenderloin that story is. I could just gobble it up. I mean, my goodness. And, you know, if you take a look at this website here, the extensive amount of research that these two women have put together, guys. I mean, I will also link this in my description. Obviously, I couldn't go through this with you guys because it's just incredibly long. But the amount of research that's on here is insane, okay? What can you say? It rings true to me. And I actually remember who that other Michelle was. Michelle Obama. Was she... Have we ever seen pictures of her pregnant? Have we ever been able to get pictures of Michelle Obama pregnant? I don't know. I just don't know. I'm just asking questions, okay? That's all I'm doing. So, yikes. I don't know. There's a lot here, like I said. So, if you guys want to look more into this, I'm still in the process of reading this all, but I like the way Candace broke it down, so I just wanted to bring you guys the story because it's fascinating. And this was them two when they met. I mean, gross. What the hell? And it's just disturbing. This is true, and it does ring true to me. It really does, because what's going on with our leaders and how they always seem to be so compromised. And it's a real fucking scandal. I mean, is this the body of a woman? You guys let me know. It's fascinating, y'all. This story, like I said, I cannot get enough of it. Yikes. Okay. Anyways, but I want to know what y'all think about all of this. And if you're interested, I would definitely suggest you read these people's research, because it's extensive and it's fascinating. Okay. And there's all kinds of different genealogical research and facial recognition research, just everything you could want. Okay. And isn't this real right here? Okay. So something's going on, guys. We're in the midst of a powder keg, and it's not looking good for any of us right now. So yeah, guys, lots to unpack there, and it just seems that the controversies that have been going on with world leaders and, you know, a lot of just shady stuff happening. You know, there's just disorder and utter chaos all throughout the world. I mean, and so really, France, if their biggest problem is that they have a tranny married to the president, I mean, they have it easy. But people want to know the truth. People are sick of being lied to. Let's move on to the next group of sickos. We all know that human trafficking is a major problem globally, but especially here in America, it's become a pandemic of human trafficking, child sex trafficking, and child pornography for people who either want to consume, produce, own child pornography images. They want to participate in it. They want to do horrible things to children, and it's disgusting. And it's the worst thing that humans can do. I mean, I would put it on the same level as killing someone, because when you touch a child like that, you're basically killing that child's soul. Okay? It's just as bad. Okay? So, and some might even say it's worse. I don't know. I can't speak personally to that, because it's never happened to me, so I just don't know. But this story, let's get into this.
The FBI, with the help of Madison police, have arrested a man accused of being connected to a child pornography and trafficking website. Court records show 56-year-old William Spearman made an appearance in federal court this morning. He's facing charges of engaging in a child exploitation enterprise and conspiracy to advertise child pornography. Now, several agents and officers gathered outside Spearman's home on Rolling Lee Place in Madison, that's just off Pebblebrook Drive, Wednesday afternoon, apparently to search the property. Court records say Spearman admitted to FBI agents to managing that site. Investigators say they also found a thumb drive with a large volume of child pornography on it.
Well, he's going to find a thumb up his asshole once he gets his jail sentence, and it can't come soon enough. So this was a sick-ass motherfucker who was running an operation, guys. And so this story from the Daily Mail is what I want to share with y'all today. Unmasked, the NHS psychiatrist and Cheshire tire fitter who ran a massive global pedophile ring called the Annex for King Pedo Mastermind. Operational structure of the sprawling international enterprise known as the Annex was much akin to that one might find in any business. There was a clearly defined promotion scheme encouraging even, staff to climb the ranks. Targets and working hours were all set up. Holidays had to be flagged to line managers, and there were rules, lots of rules. A quick glance at some of those rules, however, will tell you that the Annex it is now mercifully defunct. No legitimate business. Who wrote this article, first of all? Shitty writing. Stay anonymous, never unmask yourself, says one. Never ever share personal data, warns another. Always download and watch videos offline, orders one more. And here's another sick pedophile, okay? Nathan Bake arrives for sentencing at Chester Crown Court. This was a man out of the UK who was second in command to the other man, who is William Spearman. And like it said in the article title, this was a global ring of sick freaks who were all operating on the dark web and exchanging their sick images and illegal, immoral videos of horrific crimes that are unspeakable on this channel or in anywhere else. But take a look at this man here, because he's another one. The Annex was a vast website where 100,000 pedos worldwide would meet to share millions of videos and pictures of child sex abuse on the dark web. A shadowy place where sickening criminality was free to burgeon under the cover of anonymity. Unknown to users, however, its twisted operations had been under the scrutiny of international crime agencies since 2019. But only now, following the sentencing of 3 men in British courts, can the full extent of the global criminal enterprise be laid bare. Those men, as you will see, didn't just participate in the sinister underground network, but helped to run it, fitting in their nefarious duties around day jobs, which included, in the case of one, tending to the needs of elderly patients as a psychiatrist within the NHS. Tire fitter Nathan Bakey, a 28-year-old loner described by an ex-colleague talking to the Mail as awkward, nerdy, and a cat-obsessed computer whiz. Okay, ladies, we all know, okay, if a man is a cat person, okay, run for the hills. And I'm sorry if there's any men here who are cat people, I would ask you to reevaluate that, okay? I'm just saying, you can not have, okay, you can be okay with cats, but to be like a cat boy person, just reevaluate, okay? That's all I would say. But we continue. So, this was an NHS worker who was sentenced to 16 years in prison last month. Not enough. A 28-year-old, 16 years in prison. That means he'll be in, his early 40s when he gets out? Shame. Shame. I mean, when are we going to start giving these pedos the death penalty? I need to know. So, he's an Asperger's sufferer. In other words, he's an autist, okay? He'd risen to become second in command of the global operation prior to his arrest in November 2022. He would conduct his duties after work from his modest home in Cheshire, spending hours sitting in front of a laptop on a desk in his bedroom. And just look at this operation here. This is William Spearman's garage office, okay? Very sophisticated enterprise we've got going on here. All right, so just take a look at this operation, this shoddy piece of shit corner of his garage where the sickest of sick behaviors was happening. God only knows how many bodily fluids are, all over this area. I mean, it's quite disgusting and disturbing. And if you look closer, you can see there's like family photos up here. There's like a photo of a little girl. There's like this little sign back here. It says drunk driver. So funny. So funny. Oh my god, you're so funny. You pedo sick fuck. What's wrong with you? And he likes drunk driving. So that's great. That's what we have. That's who we're sharing a society with, guys. But just take a look, okay? Inside the mind of one of the worst people in society. I mean, don't these just look like the faces of people that you don't ever want to run into? So, William Yates, 45, a divorced stepfather to 2 children who ranked just below Bakey as assistant moderator. He was jailed for 5 years and 4 months for his part in the vile exchange of images of some of the very worst kinds of abuse. So really all we can hope for in these cases is like, prison justice. That's all we can really hope for because, my God, 5 years? Are you kidding me? Unemployed, Yates had plenty of time to devote to his quote-unquote work. NHS psychiatrist Kabir Garg, meanwhile didn't. He habitually used to get up early to fit in a shift on the Annex before heading off to his actual job for South London and Maudsley NHS Trust, just walking distance from his South London flat. Garg, whose father is a prominent psychiatrist in India, well, leave it up to the Indians, was sentenced to 6 years in prison last June, having been unmasked as a gateway moderator on the site. 3 men, all very different, each unknown to each other in the real world, shared a depraved common interest online, swapping and facilitating the sharing of thousands of sick images and video content. That one of the rooms users could access was called Tots R Us. Is probably sufficient explanation as to what was available in there. So here's King Pedo himself, William Spearman, okay? Just absolutely deplorable. I mean, these individuals deserve to go straight to hell and to be tortured in the process beforehand. Nothing on this site was off limits. Everything was encouraged, says the National Crime Agency branch commander Adam Priestley, who was part of the investigation team who brought the men to justice. The men that we're talking about here were very much part of a team, a staff that you would expect to see within any business that provides a platform and facilitate a community of pedos to encourage the abuse of children all over the world. So just how did the annex manage to extend its twisted tentacles across the globe to become one of the biggest networks of its kind? And more importantly, how did the combined forces of cross-border crime detection agencies bring it crashing down? 2019, who first turned their attention to the shadowy dark web entity known as Tor, short for the Onion Router, in 2019. They managed to seize servers in Romania and Moldova that set off a ripple effect to other agencies around the globe. Yates was the first of the British contingent to be arrested in a low-budget hotel room in the Sussex seaside town of Eastbourne in May 2022. And my God, I don't even want to know what they found in that hotel room and the amounts of semen that were probably soaked through that mattress. I mean, I could just absolutely throw up. No longer active on the site, he admitted being an Annex user since 2019, having first been offered a role as a low-ranking staff member and then working his way up to become an assistant moderator by first posting indecent content himself and then encouraging others to do the same. Yates, apparently a church-going Christian, and how dare you? Okay, rebuked. Your membership is revoked. When you touch the children, you're not a fucking Christian, okay? How dare you defile the name of my Lord and Savior in such a way? Disgusting. He was very explicit about that, okay? Millstone around your damn neck, and let's throw you in the ocean for even having the audacity to call yourself a church-going Christian. How you didn't burst into flames upon arriving at the doorstep of any church is beyond me. Wow. Okay. Anyways, unbelievable. So he had been unmasked after ignoring one of the site's rules and using his own surname as his username, Yates704. So at the time of his arrest, investigators found 6,000 private messages between Yates704 and other users involving everything from fantasy roleplay involving abuse of children to advice on how to post indecent images and how to evade law enforcement. The international nerve center of the forum was in a cluttered garage in a suburban street in Madison, Alabama, where a father of three, a U.S. Army veteran named William Spearman, going by the username King Pedo, presided remotely over a team of 30 loyal staff members around the globe and a dizzying array of members and visitors. King Pedo's lair, as you will see, not some slick office, but rather a rubbish-strewn corner of a garage with no fewer than 8 laptops scattered around 3 desks. There's a child's bike lying a short distance away and a picture in a frame of a little girl under the word princess. There's also a sign on the wall reading, "I'd rather have a gun in my hand than a cop on the phone." Spearman had 3 guns on his desk where he managed the site, as the U.S. authorities put it, one of the largest child pornography websites in the world. So here's William Yates, the unemployed loser who was found in a motel, probably dripping in semen. And then here's the Indian immigrant who was also a sick freak and working at the NHS in UK. So Spearman protests that he did not enjoy violent child pornography and that he did not run the site, were belied by a huge amount of collection of material devices, including infamous videos depicting the sexual torture and rape of toddlers, and the fact that other users and staff called him boss. Using online aliases, Enforcer, and King Pedo, Spearman ruled his team of staff with a rod of steel, and hopefully that's what he'll get up his anus once he goes to jail, putting rules in place that encouraged low-ranking users to rise through the hierarchy by posting more child sex abuse material and demoted those who didn't. U.S. court documents reveal that such was Spearman's grip on proceedings that he even erupted when administrators took time off. Take this remark to one administrator: "WTF? Didn't you say on blank date that will be your last vacation days? Oh, these people are taking vacation days? Is there a 401k package too? Because, I mean, what are the incentives? It just, I mean, it's so, I can't even laugh. I can't even get angry about it anymore. It's like I've lost my ability to even understand these people. It's so beyond the pale. The veteran, whose youngest son is 8 years old, was sentenced to life in federal prison. I mean, thank God. There's one thing that America is still good at in some pockets of the country, and that's putting people away for their fucking life, okay? There's no 5-year bullshit. I mean, there is some of that still here in the country. There are definitely pockets in all throughout the country that have woke DAs that will go extremely light on criminals who deserve to literally never see the light of day. But there are still places where we will put you away for the rest of your life, which is exactly what these people all deserve. So the prosecution said the defendant is before this court because he chose to run a massive sprawling empire dedicated to images and videos of children being and abused. He did not do this because he is broken. He did not do this because of PTSD, nor did he do it because of depression, opioids, or any of the other myriad excuses he put forth in his papers. He did it because he wanted to. Amen. There's no excuse for child abuse. There's just not. There's just not. You do not touch an inappropriate hand on God's most innocent under any circumstances. You leave the kids the fuck alone, okay? And anything less than treating them with love and care is unacceptable. So he went on. In fact, the defendant's papers present a bizarre alternate world in which the defendant decided to run, not join, not visit, but run an enormous child sexual abuse material website, despite harboring little to no sexual interest in children or child pornography. Yeah, tell that to someone else who wasn't born fucking yesterday. Because really, you ran the site for what? You just the kindness of your own heart? Give me a break. This, simply put, is not even remotely believable. Through his egregious criminal conduct, this defendant exploited a literally uncountable number of children. He presided as leader of a community of pedos, allowed them to commit non-stop criminal activity, fostered an environment where users could revel in discussions of child sexual abuse, and provided advice on how not to be caught by law enforcement. Well, I hope you all feel real stupid right about now. There's this new show on Netflix called Cyber Hell, okay? I would suggest you guys check it out. It's definitely interesting, and it outlines this other, absolutely complex and disturbing network of these sick freaks, okay, that was headed out of South Korea and targeted, for the most part, many young South Koreans and just young people in general, but really people of all ages. It was basically like a blackmailing and extortion operation, as well as child images, child sex images. All kinds of sick shit was exchanged over different Telegram rooms and over the dark web. So it's very complex. I don't even really understand all of the different elements to this, even after watching the documentary. But it's just something that I wanted to show you guys. And if you're interested, go watch the Netflix show or look into these articles that I'll link in the description. So the discovery in March of the Nthrum, which operated on the encrypted Telegram platform, shocked the country. And this is the head who went by the name, I think his name was God, on the platform, and ran a sextortion ring. And he got 40 years, which is also not enough. A Seoul court on Thursday sentenced the ringleader of the Nthrum, one of the biggest online sex trafficking rings ever discovered in South Korea, to 40 years in prison, falling short of the life sentence demanded by prosecutors. And I would ask, for what reason? You sick freaks. The Seoul Central District Court found Cho Ju-bin guilty of violating laws to protect minors from sexual abuse and operating a criminal ring to make profits by producing and selling abusive videos, the Yonhap news agency reported. The accused has widely distributed sexually abusive content that he created by luring and threatening many victims, the court said. The interim ran on the encrypted messaging service Telegram, and the perpetrators used private information, sometimes collected illegally from local government offices, to blackmail dozens of women and children into performing sexually explicit acts on camera, with thousands of viewers paying cryptocurrency to watch. At least 74 women, including 16 teenagers, were ensnared in what authorities called virtual enslavement between May 2019 and February 2020.
An eagerly awaited moment in South Korea, police revealing the identity of the main suspect in an online so-called sextortion ring. Jo Joo-bin is suspected of forcing women and children to film themselves carrying out sex acts that sometimes involved rape and violence.
I apologize to everyone who has suffered because of me. Thank you for ending the life of a demon that I could not stop.
Oh, please.
He allegedly blackmailed them by using private information received from government workers and went on to sell his victims videos in secret chat rooms on the messaging app Telegram. In a rare move, the South Korean government named the 24-year-old main suspect, nicknamed Doctor, after a record 5 million people signed petitions urging police to investigate him and others. Cho's one of 124 suspected of abuse, threats and coercion, as well as violating laws on child protection, privacy and sexual abuse.
President Moon says these were cruel acts, destroying the lives of people. He acknowledges the fact that millions petitioned to punish the perpetrators and our citizens, especially women, and an end to such digital sex crimes.
74 people, including underage girls, are suspected to have been exploited, including being forced to cut the word slave on their bodies. At least 10,000 people paid a subscription fee to join the so-called nth rooms, and then paid more money to view the videos, some as much as $1,200. Investigators say they believe as many as 250,000 entered one of the chat rooms at some point. South Korea has seen a rise in the number of digital sex crimes. In 2018, mass protests by women demanded a government crackdown on online grooming, especially of children. And demonstrators demanded action on the spread of intimate photos and videos secretly filmed in public toilets and other areas. The Justice Ministry issued an apology over what it described as a years-long failure by the legal system to properly respond to the crimes. Victims say they believe there are many more like them too afraid to come forward. Activists say this case must be a turning point in the protection of women. Sarah Khairat, Al Jazeera.
So that reporting was very mild, and most of these articles that I've read have been pretty mild, but I mean, just the Netflix documentary does go more into it, and it's just so much more sinister than you could ever imagine. I mean, this man was literally forcing people by way of blackmail, and this goes back to kind of what we were saying in the beginning. The world is run by blackmail. This is how people use fear and bullying and hanging stuff, embarrassing things over people's head to make them do what they want them to do. And it is so depraved and just so, I mean, twisted. And it's going on everywhere, behind closed doors, in every country, in every community. This is happening, okay? And people just don't talk about it, and it's not addressed. And this is why it's gotten as big as it's gotten. And it's now such a huge problem that I don't know if we'll ever solve it. But this was like someone who had access to government records, who was able to, you know, basically send someone a link saying that they had, and were going to publish images or content that was sexually explicit in nature of the person, whoever he was choosing to blackmail. And once they would click the link, he would get access to all of their personal data, all of their information, addresses, parents' names, you know, phone numbers, and would use that as a form of, like, torment, as a form of intimidation, you know, using this information to intimidate whoever his target was into giving him what he wanted, which was more and more depraved images, videos, and I mean, just the sickest of things you could imagine. People, you know, young women being forced to lick public restroom floors, like go into the men's room and lick the toilets or lick underneath the urinals and film themselves doing so. I mean, being forced to stick pens, like handfuls of pens, like ballpoint pens, up inside of themselves and film this. Anything that any depraved mind on the internet, which, as you can imagine, if you've been on the internet, what only God, I mean, only the devil knows what exactly the end to that could be, because I don't even know. I mean, people, the sick shit that they're into, it's beyond what you could ever even imagine in your own mind if you're a normal person. But anything that any of those people might want or request, he could make possible by way of extortion, blackmail, and intimidation of these young girls. And it's sick. So what do you think, guys? The last thing I want to get into is this monologue that Megyn Kelly did. And it's just kind of a cherry on top of this whole, you know, video that's very, it's just disheartening in a way, because you're beginning to see the cracks in the facade that has been, you know, maybe present in your life. I don't know. In mine, I feel like it definitely was. You know, I had this, you know, and I think all of us have our childhoods ruined at some point in adulthood. That's inevitable. But I did not think that the world and the outlook on the world for me would be as dire as I feel that it is right now, and what we're going through in the world, and the types of people that exist here on this globe, you know, with us, that are walking around doing the things that they're doing. It's truly it just truly terrifies me, and it truly is, it seems like a bigger problem that could ever be fully repaired and could ever be fully dismantled. It seems like the elites just want to ruin everyone's lives and want to make you bow down to their whims and their wishes, and, you know, they want to take your freedoms. They want to abuse little kids. They want to get rich while you get poor, and it can be overwhelming. So I did enjoy this monologue Megyn Kelly gave about the Oscars, and her highlighting the hypocrisy of the left, and, you know, the way she broke it down was masterful. And so I wanted to play this for you guys before we get out of here. So enjoy.
Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show, live from Montana this week. Last night was the 96th Academy Award show, and while you might have missed it, there was one clear winner. No, not Oppenheimer. It was sanctimonious leftists for their lead role in pretending they are better than you. Several people shared in this achievement. Winner number one, Jimmy Kimmel. For the fourth time, Kimmel hosted the Oscars before an adoring crowd of Hollywood stars who laughed and curried favor with the man who wore blackface so many times he's second only to Justin Trudeau in his fondness for the practice. Yes, some of the very same celebrities who wanted you to believe they were horrified after yours truly said in 2018 that people used to don dark makeup in order to imitate well-known black celebrities, and it wasn't a big deal, absolutely ate up the performance by Hollywood darling Mr. Kimmel, whose blackface costumes included his oft-repeated bit as basketball star Karl Malone.
Now, Karl Malone never seen no flying saucer himself, but if he do, that's going to be a spooky time.
And let's not forget Oprah in a fat suit.
15 minutes a day is all you need to get your heart rate up to where...
Please, Miss Oprah, you're crushing my... Sorry, Miss Oprah.
In truth, the Academy Awards show, though it's since gone on to lecture us incessantly about the importance of racial equity, has long been a promoter of celebrity blackface. The 2012 Oscars ceremony featured actor Billy Crystal in blackface, announcing a Best Picture nominee.
Billy, is Biebs the young Sinatra or my nuts?
Oh, Sammy, stop it.
Come on.
This guy.
Peace out. All right, have fun storming the Fuhrer.
All right, good luck, Bob.
Just a few years before that, Robert Downey Jr. was honored with a Best Supporting Actor nomination for the film Tropic Thunder, in which Downey Jr. famously wore, you guessed it, blackface, while donning an afro and attending, quote, Ebonics vocal training. He won last night for Oppenheimer. Congrats! Obviously, Kimmel's love of blackface was not a deal breaker for ABC, which already employs him as a late night host, and which, in addition to its many blackface awards shows, also produced and promoted many shows and stars in blackface. It appears the real sin with blackface, you see, is talking about how standards on it have changed, not actually wearing it. You can still win Oscars and host the Oscars after doing that. Winner number 2 of the Sanctimonious Leftists Pretending They Are Better Than You award, Robert De Niro. Congratulations, sir. Another Oscar for the iconic actor who, now 80, appeared on Bill Maher over the weekend and had some choice words about Donald Trump.
The guy is a total monster. And anybody, I don't understand it. I guess they get behind that kind of logic. They want to fuck with people, screw them, because they're unhappy about something. I never play him as an actor because I can't see any good in him.
Oh, really?
Nothing.
Oh, wow.
Nothing at all. Nothing redeemable in him. He's a sociopathic, psychopathic, malignant narcissist.
What?
He's got to be stopped.
The derangement on these people is bewildering, y'all. Like this, I mean, it's when I see somebody with this level of Trump derangement syndrome, I genuinely worry about them. Like, are they driving cars? Are we safe? Are we actually safe? Because these people are out of their minds. Keith Olbermann's another one. I mean, that man is unhinged is not even the right word. They need straitjackets because they're not in touch with reality. It's amazing.
Wouldn't ever play someone that despicable. And who could blame him? That could be tough for an actor to play such a hateful man. Someone like, I don't know, like Bernie Madoff, say. A guy who stole $65 billion from nuns and Holocaust survivors like Elie Wiesel and was sentenced to 150 years in prison. Who would play him?
There are no investments.
What are you talking about? Of course there are investments.
I made them up.
They're on every statement.
I made them up.
I've seen the trades.
They're fake. All fake. Basically just a big Ponzi scheme.
Oh, well, that was white collar. Maybe he draws the line at the really bad criminals. Oh, that's right. Jimmy Conway from Goodfellas, a character based on real-life mobster Jimmy Burke, who, according to mobster Henry Hill, really did whack a guy for an insult about shoe shining and then finished him off in the trunk of the car when they realized he wasn't quite dead.
Murder?
No, still alive. No, fuck.
Did Donald Trump do murder? Does anybody remember if Donald Trump did a murder?
But De Niro doesn't want to play someone truly evil, you see. At least not a certain someone. Maybe Jimmy was a Democrat. By the way, De Niro is also very upset that Donald Trump is an alleged racist. Wonder if he pulled Jimmy Kimmel aside last night and asked him to atone for his blackface-loving past. Our final Oscar for Sanctimonious Leftists Pretending They Are Better Than You is a dark horse contender when you consider he's not even an actor. George Stephanopoulos. Yes, another ABCer. The lifelong Democrat took to his Sunday show yesterday and decided to really press Republican and Trump endorser Nancy Mace on how on earth she can support a guy who's been found liable of sexual assault, especially when, as he pointed out to Mace, she is a rape survivor. It's such an opportunity when you can use a woman's rape against her. Watch.
Our next guest is South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace, a Donald Trump supporter who gave candid and courageous testimony about her own experience as a rape victim weeks before launching her run for Congress in 2019.
Wow.
From some of us who've been raped, it can take 25 years to get up the courage and talk about being a victim of rape.
How do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw?
It's a shame that you will never feel, George, and I'm not going to sit here on your show and be asked a question meant to shame me about another potential rape victim. I'm not.
You've endorsed Donald Trump for president. Right. Donald Trump has been found liable for rape by a jury.
It was not a criminal court case, number one. Number two, I live with shame. And you're asking me a question about my political choices, trying to shame me as a rape victim, and I find it disgusting.
I'm not trying to shame you. I'm just asking.
And I find it offensive, and this is why women won't come forward.
Women won't come forward because they're defamed by those who perpetrate rape. I'm asking you a very simple question.
Explain. You're shaming me for my political choices.
I'm asking you a question.
The fact, okay, I'm gonna let Megyn Kelly take care of it because she literally dismantled this hypocrite of a piece of shit man. I mean, she took care of him. She took the trash out. George Stephanopoulos will never be the same after what Megyn Kelly did to him. So I'll just save it for her to
About
do.
why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape.
It was not a criminal court. And by the way, she joked about the judgment and what she was going to do with all that money, and I find that offensive.
How is the question asking you about a presidential candidate who's
You're
been
asking a rape victim.
And
you're
you
questioning my
courageously
political
talked
choices
about
because
this.
I've been raped. I think that's disgusting.
No, I'm questioning your political choices because you're supporting
shaming me. You're trying
someone
to
who's been
shame
found
me.
liable for rape.
Exactly
you're not
what
answering the
doing.
question.
I think it's disgusting.
Well, you're welcome to say that, but you also have to answer the question.
If you want to defend a woman who made a mockery out of rape, then you go ahead and do that. I'm not going to do that.
Well, actually, what you're doing is defending a man who's been found liable for rape. I don't understand how you can do that. The judge affirmed that it was, in fact, rape. Donald Trump was found to have committed rape. That's just a fact. We'll let the viewers decide about that. Let's talk about January 6th.
What a kind, sensitive man who clearly cares deeply about women and their sexual assault allegations. Thanks for being an ally, George. I see how concerned you are that victims might not come forward if they are publicly attacked by their rapist or his defenders. To be sure, that is a very real concern. It happens all the time, which you know, because you invented it. Remember? When you created a whole command center designed to smear Bill Clinton's sexual assault and rape accusers so you could elevate him right into the presidency. The attorney representing many of Bill's accusers, and there were many, George, Juanita Broderick, Kathleen Willey, Paula Jones, Jennifer Flowers, to name just a few, said you and James Carville, at Hillary Clinton's direction, formed a so-called war room, whose purpose was, quote, to destroy any woman that would challenge Bill Clinton. You know the war room. They made a whole movie about it.
George Stephanopoulos. I'm Director of Communications.
Bush was on the defensive. Another good night for Bill Clinton. 3 debates, 3 wins. I guarantee you that if you do this, you'll never work in Democratic politics again.
Oh, wow.
Such a tough guy. This attorney points out that you don't like to talk about this particular behavior, George. Maybe that's why you skipped it in your discussion with Nancy Mace. But as you know, private detectives were hired. The women say they were threatened, and they were publicly shamed by you and your well-funded team. Did you worry then that this behavior might shame victims from coming forward? You admitted in your own memoir that Hillary Clinton told you about one accuser, quote, we have to destroy her story. Did you object? Did you say, that's shaming? No. In fact, you later described yourself as Bill Clinton's, quote, enabler. But sir, how could you have enabled and defended a man like this, accused by multiple women of sexual assault, rape, and harassment? Which brings us to Paula Jones. You were Clinton's attack dog when Jones came forward claiming Bill Clinton had exposed himself to her. That when he was governor of Arkansas, he summoned her through state troopers to a Little Rock, Arkansas hotel room and took out his penis. A charge Clinton denies, just as Trump denies E. Jean Carroll's allegations against him. What do you think he wanted done with that thing, George? Just a little show and tell? Jones was poor, a graduate of secretarial school, and worked for the state. She had no power, no connections, and he was the sitting governor. She didn't go to Columbia and Oxford and become a Rhodes Scholar like you, George. She was a nothing to you. Your buddy Carville immediately went after Ms. Jones, infamously saying, if you drag a $100 bill through a trailer park, you never know what you'll find. And you? God. Did you defend Paula Jones, saying, we don't shame accusers, that's wrong? No. You compared Jones to Tanya Harding as, quoting here from the New York Times, just another woman seeking cash for telling a tabloid tale. Fire up that war room, George, and destroy her. Bill Clinton would ultimately pay Paula Jones almost $1 million to settle her civil suit against him. And you remained Team Clinton all the way. To say nothing of Juanita Broderick's rape allegation or Kathleen Willey's allegations and more. But now you, quote, don't understand how Nancy Mace can support a man found liable for sexual assault of one woman 30 years ago in a civil trial in which the burden of proof is just 51% likely. My God, how did anyone at ABC think this was a good line of inquiry for George Stephanopoulos, of all people, to pursue? And one need look no further than the kickoff of your interview to see you haven't changed, George. Who told you that the thing to do with a rape survivor is to casually begin the interview with her own testimonial about her rape and then immediately attack her? Most people showing this whole exchange that happened on your show on Sunday are not showing the fact that you started the whole thing by bringing up Mace's rape when she was just 16 years old. They're making it look like Nancy Mace brought it up to deflect your question. In fact, you shoved it in her face and demanded that she explain how she could still support Trump. How dare you? She was right. You were out of line. You were offensive. Especially when the other guy, you know, your guy, Joe Biden, has been accused of rape as well, George. Trust me, I know. I interviewed his alleged victim. Maybe you missed it because ABC where you are and were the chief political correspondent, was the only network not to acknowledge or run a single soundbite from our blockbuster interview when it hit and made international headlines. I guess Tara Reid to you didn't matter. Like Tanya Harding and Paula Jones. Just another wrong side of the tracks woman, easily dismissed from you and your ivory tower, George. And you did ignore her. And then you got rewarded with an exclusive sit-down with Joe Biden, whom you undoubtedly went on to vote for. How could you?
Oh my God. She hurt my fucking feelings with that. The hypocrisies, the just blatant degeneracy and gaslighting that goes on a daily basis, that is the reason for the capture of most people who just would rather lull themselves into stupidity and unawareness rather than look at the cold hard facts of what's going on in our world and what we're really facing, the demons, the evil, the corruption, the scandals, the everything that's going on right now. People would rather look the other way and just continue about their life. Well, lives will be disrupted. It's already starting. It's already happening, and it's inevitable. You cannot avoid it, okay? So now's the time to get ahead of it and just make yourselves aware, prepare yourselves for what's to come, because trust me when I say it is coming. And by it, I don't know what exactly it is, but like I said, we're living in powder keg moment here, and I guarantee you guys that something big is going to happen soon. What that will be, I don't know. But you guys let me know what y'all think in the comments down below about everything we talked about. And, you know, what are your thoughts on, you know, where the world is headed? Where this country is headed? Is it the end of times? Let me know. Like the video if you like it also, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it. So until next time, guys, y'all take it easy out there. And like I said, watch your kids. Cherish your kids. Take care of your kids. And I will see y'all later. Bye.
I just tell the truth. And telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.